Good evening. We're back with another episode of the Lord of the Rings LCG Progression Series. And tonight is a lore and quest guide for the Redhorn Gate. First quest of this cycle, the Dwaro-Delph cycle. So let's take a look. Celeborn has bid you escort Arwen to visit her father in Rivendell. Your journey takes you through the Redhorn Gate. So, if you recall, we last completed Flight from Moria. It is not specified in the quest which gate we exited Moria from, the east or the west. But given that it doesn't specify and we were close to the east gate, and now we're going from Lorien, I'm going to assume that we exited from Moria from the east gate here. Celeborn resides in Lorien, here, pretty close. He is the husband of Galadriel and one of the wisest and most powerful elves in Middle-earth. And Arwen is the daughter of Elrond. Elrond resides in Rivendell, here on the other side of the Misty Mountains. So, as per the lore of this quest, Celeborn has bid us to escort Arwen to visit Rivendell, which requires going through the Redhorn Gate. The Redhorn Gate refers to one of the passes through the Misty Mountains, located roughly right here. The Redhorn Gate refers to one part of the Redhorn Pass, which is the pass over Caradhras, roughly pronounced. Terrible pronunciation. But the Fellowship of the Ring attempted to pass over the pass in the movie, albeit from west to east. Or going from east to west, they failed in the movie and were forced into Moria. In this quest, we are crossing over Lorien, and then the goal is to head up to Rivendell from there, escorting Arwen. Progress slows as you meet the fury of the mountains. Sudden snows fall heavy around you, and a bitter wind howls down from the peaks. You uncover a shallow depression in the snow, filled with frozen remains. Some of them bear strange markings as if they had been burned with flame. How many other doomed souls lie beneath the quickly rising drifts? The mountain peaks are almost in reach, but the swirling snows make it difficult to see, and your strength begins to drain away with the daunting final push to the pinnacle. So, the setup for this one, we have the mountain in the staging area, and all copies of Snowstorm, and we get Arwen as an ally. The key to this one, this quest is kind of annoying, because you cannot pass it unless you have 5 victory points. You get 3 from Caradhras, and the only other way to get 2 is by clearing one of 2 locations in the deck, Celebdil, another mountain peak, or Fenwithil, that's not easy to pronounce, which is another peak. So one or the other is required. The only other card with a victory point is Dimral Stare, but it only gives you 1. So just clearing that won't be sufficient. You need either Fenwithil or Celebdil to complete the quest. Now, that's only 2 cards out of 34 in the encounter deck, and that can be quite annoying. The quest escalates in difficulty the further you go. Phase 2 is harder than Phase 1 because you have snowstorms in the deck. And Phase 3 is harder than any phase before it because characters are discarded from play if their threat is ever 0. Caradhras, when it's active, gives questing characters -1. And there are other cards which give negative questing power as well. Snowstorm, So snowstorm, if you get a snowstorm on Redhorn, man, I'm so sad I'm pronouncing that so badly. But if you get a snowstorm while on the mountain, you will lose any character with willpower 2 or less. So the strategy for this quest, you don't want to get to phase 3 and clear the mountain and then have to sit and wait at phase 3 for one of these 2 cards to come out of the encounter deck, because that's the hardest difficulty place to sit and wait. It might seem appealing to complete all the objectives first and then just have to wait for the mountain, but while you're waiting, you're going to be more and more likely to lose characters as cards come out of the encounter deck, attempting to make you lose characters. So my advice and my strategy for this quest is therefore to quest very lightly and just sit at phase 1 until you've cleared one of these 2 cards. And once you've done that, then you can move on. But until then, you just sit there, because there's no reason, there's no pressure to move up. You get a when revealed effect at the beginning, but after that there's absolutely no pressure to move up. You can just sit there and sit there and sit there turn after turn until you finally get one of these locations from the encounter deck, and then you can move there, clear it, and then you can move on. And you'll likely have a strong board state at that point as well, so you can move on through phase 2 in maybe 1 turn and be prepared to clear Redhorn and in 1 turn and then move on for the victory. It's possible to defeat this quest without defeating Redhorn. If you clear Dimral Stair and the other 2 peaks, you don't actually have to clear it. In theory, if you had something that would move it back to the staging area, because it's going to become the active location when you clear phase 3, but given that, I think it's very unlikely you're going to beat this quest without defeating the mountain. But it's possible if you were able to somehow move it back to staging. In any case, the strategy for this quest is sit at phase 1 until you clear one of these 2 locations, and then you can move on. Under no circumstances, you may accidentally move on to phase 2 if it takes a while and you're just trying not to gain threat and you're placing 1 or 2 progress around on up the pass, then you may accidentally move on to phase 2. That's not that big a deal. But if you accidentally move on to phase 3 and then you have to sit there waiting for one of these 2 locations, you're going to be in trouble. So don't do that, is my advice for defeating this quest. That's about all there is to it. I'm not a fan of this quest. I don't like just sitting around waiting for encounter card decks because you don't have any control over how quickly they come out. You can get one of these 2 as a shadow card to an enemy attack pretty easily, and that's super annoying and depressing. The Dimral Stair can help with that because when you travel there, you reshuffle all locations in the discard pile and victory display back into the encounter deck. So this is designed to be used to help you find one of these locations. You don't want to use it after you've cleared one, because then you'll shuffle the card that you cleared back into the encounter deck, and that's terrible. And if you reshuffled at least 2 locations, you reduce each player's threat by 11. So this is intended for use like later in the game when you have discarded these cards due to shadow effect. You can then get them back and reduce threat by 11, which will help you keep going. It's a long slog through the mountains. That's what it feels like. It's thematic. It's not particularly enjoyable. But in any case, the strategy is hang out at phase 1 until you clear one of these mountain locations and then move on. Specific challenges that you might encounter: there are trolls in the deck. Mountain Warg is super annoying. It's one of those return to staging areas if it's dealt a shadow card with no effect. Black Warg, one note on Black Warg, there's a card in here called Freezing Cold, which is a condition that you attach to a hero and gives it -2 willpower, which can be bad in phase 3. It can contribute to a hero death. Or if attached hero is more than 1 copy of Freezing Cold, discard attached hero. In solo play, that is not possible because there's only 3 cards and 3 heroes. So that's just a severe, but you may want to do that. It's a severe disincentive from putting more than one copy on a hero, but it's possible to do it in the event that you would kill another hero that you don't want to lose and you have one that you do not mind losing. However, Black Uruk, the first player, must choose and discard an attachment from a questing character if available. Unfortunately, Freezing Cold, the hero cannot commit to a quest. However, I'm pointing this card out for future reference because there are quests that have a bad attachment from the encounter deck, and the Black Uruk can be used to discard it because it doesn't say you must choose and discard an attachment that you control. Again, it doesn't apply to Freezing Cold, but in the future it will apply to other cards. This is the first time we've seen the Black Uruk, so we'll point that out and make a note of it for the future. Other than the trolls, you've got Bitter Wind, which is annoying. You can have to discard 3 resources. Fell Voices brings back snow cards. Avalanche exhausts characters and forces you to commit them to the quest, which can then give you negative willpower from the Mountain Caradhras because it gives -1 willpower to questing characters. That can be super annoying, the Avalanche. But it's really not too difficult to quest unless you just get unlucky and the mountains that you need don't come out of the encounter deck. In which case you just end up finishing the quest and they're kind of annoyed. But strategy-wise, just hang out at Phase 1 until you get one of the locations you need. So thanks for watching.